Hello everyone, welcome to another modding video. Although this is more modding adjacent than it is NTO4 modding, I have a new tool for you guys. It is a paint shop for Thunder 04, and it may in the future get updated to work with other EA titles. But for right now, it is just set up for Thunder 04. So I'm going to show you guys how to use this tool. Just a heads up, it does cost $5 to get a copy of this tool. It's taken a lot of work to get this running and to make this as fancy as it is. And it's taken a lot of work to do all the modding stuff and host on, I have a Dropbox feed, I have all this stuff going on to give you guys all this modding abilities and tools and everything else. So I feel it's only fair to charge a couple bucks, nothing major. $5 is, in my opinion, like the lowest you'd ever pay for a custom paint. But with this, you'll be able to make your own custom paints and in more detail than the in-game create a car, and in the higher resolution that would match our current texture packs for Thunder 04. So you get all the benefits of the old tool with new benefits of this tool and high res. Just to start out, I'm going to go over the interface first before we dig into anything. There's a checkbox for live preview updating. If you find the tool's a little bit slow to re-render when you make changes, I'd uncheck this, make your changes, and then hit refresh or recheck it. Mask visible, we'll get into that when it's showing. It's just kind of the mask that blocks off what's the car shape and what's not the car shape. Our overlay template group here, this is if there's different templates. Now there's going to be more released when you guys get this tool in your hands. Also, I'm not going to charge anything for the templates themselves. They're going to be a separate free download because as packs release and as other templates are made, we could add them to this. I only have the 1990 in right now, so you pick the year you want and you pick the car that you want in this drop down here, and it'll load over here, and if you have live preview updating on, it'll refresh the image, or I have it on the manual button, so I have to click it and boom, there's my Oldsmobile. And you can switch this out even partway through painting your car, and it should swap out the parts from one manufacturer to another. The mask, now I can show you guys. The mask visible is that gray box that just kind of shows you the vague car shape. Alright, that's the main thing with that. The next steps you may want to mess with here are the templates. And the paint templates are so overlay templates and paint templates are not to be confused. Overlay templates are pretty much your car manufacturer stuff, and the paint templates are different designs. So again, I have this preloaded with a lot of the 1990 paints that I've done. Not all of them, because I didn't save all of them properly to be able to modify it to work with this. But a lot of the paints are here, including my career car that is on my streams. And essentially they have the different layers that the paint has load into here. And you can take or leave out whichever layers you want. You can change the colors of them. So if you really wanted my paint exactly, we can do a light blue. I mean, obviously you can find the red, green, blue value of, like, if you're trying to match a certain company. You could hit add to custom colors, then it'll show up here, whichever one you have selected. It'll show up here anytime you enter a color menu, so you could save it for use elsewhere. So blue on one side, red on the other. I'll just do basic ones just to show you guys. And the front was a darker blue, was a dark Valvoline blue. So that's pretty much what I did. You can check this box to show the preview, but the only problem with the preview is it doesn't take into account whether these are checked or not. So like this is your mini preview, but the actual preview on the car, if I put updating on, is not functioning currently. I'll have that fixed. But it's supposed to preview it on the actual car itself with your other paints and layers going on. But we're going to go ahead and hit add selected paint template layers, and you can see it added that blue front end, the blue on this side, and the red on this side. And that's how you can use the templates. Now, in addition to, we'll come back to this actually, because I want to show how this goes beyond just a basic template and basic usage, but we'll come back to that. For now, I'm going to go over to the layer tab here, and the layer tab, you can select the individual layers over on the right here, but I'm going to select the base layer and change the base color of our car. Again, my Valvoline one is white, so now white's our base color. Again, you can define a custom color or use existing ones you've had before. Maybe I'll go for an off-white. Now, the way this layer section works, so up here is where you can add custom layers, which is a good way to add decals, and we'll come back to that. But from here down, from the deselect layers down, is editing the layer you have selected. So I'm going to actually add a decal just so I can show how this works a little better. So first, to add a custom layer, you select from the drop down where you want it to go, and there's presets for car number, roof, doors, so on. There's presets for sponsors on the hood, the trunk, etc. Contigs and the general ones will actually just kind of go in 00 and you move them around, and you'll see what I mean. Driver name's also a preset, so if you have a signature or something you want, it'll go right on the top. So just to show it off, let's put something on the rear quarters, and the checkbox ignore transparent for scale, I recommend leaving that checked. Basically, if you have decals with a lot of white space, a lot of empty space, then checking that, it'll do some extra code. It may take a second longer to load it initially, but it'll narrow down to just where your logo exists to resize it automatically, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm gonna go, I have a couple of paints or a couple of logos in here for 157 Studio, so we'll put this on the rear quarter. Hit open, and that will automatically place it on both sides of the car on the rear quarter. Now if I want to customize that further, and you'll see in this list over here, it's added those in, and I could toggle whether they're visible. One's for each side. They aren't labeled differently, but there's one for each side. So I currently have the one selected on the far side. As you can see, when I toggle it, it disappears. And it does take a minute to reload the imagery when you're doing the live preview updating, because it has to reapply all the layers here. So all the options here. So recenter means whether your logo is actually centered. The center point of where the logo is placed is the center point of the logo. That's 99% of the time you're going to want to keep recenter checked. It just is sort of the offset of where it's positioned. Color, you won't want to change for logos. You're going to want to leave that as white, but you could technically apply a shading to your logo if you wanted to. And it's going to make it ugly in this case, but if you have logos or decals that have are just a white section and a shape, you can recolor them here. That's mainly for stuff like your different layers. As far as like the template, if you want to recolor your template layers, that's how you would go about it. So just to show it, I'll select the driver stripe here, and we'll make it orange instead of red, and then that changes it here and in your layers. It doesn't. Oh, there, it updated the preview. Just had to refresh. So I'm going to go back up to this logo just to show the rest of the tools here. So rotation is just a degrees of how rotated it is. I don't recommend doing what I just did, by the way, clicking these up and down arrows rapidly with the live preview updating on. If you're going to mess with this stuff here, I recommend keeping that off, making the changes you think you need, and then refresh to see the changes in action. Because otherwise, every time you click up or down on this, it's going to try to refresh the whole paint, which takes a while, and you're going to bog it down, and it has potential to crash if you do that too much. But it's just either take your time with the clicking or changing a number directly rather than using the clicks, because you could type in here. So if I wanted it to be, say I went the wrong way, I want it to be 170, I could type 170 and it'll go the other way. You can also adjust the scale. Now this is automatically set based on what position you choose. Again, the general ones, they won't scale it, and you can see this is getting scaled down to 5%. So to fit here, because it's a pretty huge logo. The actual file is pretty big. You can also change the transparency of these and make them semi-transparent if you wanted to do that for some reason. But we're just gonna make that solid, and we might mess with that more when I show you some other features here. But maybe I want them scaled up a little bit. Actually, that's way too much. Locking X and Y will lock whether the scale is uniform between, left X and Y ranges. But I'm going to unlock it just to show you that one of them is actually the height and the width of your logo before it's rotated, not after, so that it should keep its shape the way it's supposed to. So let me make this back to 180 and show you why you might want to do this. So some people are okay with the logos being cut off by the wheel well, like a real car might. But if you wanted to adjust it so it fits, you could change that vertical scale, that Y scale, and change that Y position a little bit. So and the X and Y positions go off of like your entire window here. So X is your left to right, bigger number is further to the right, Y is your up and down, so bigger number goes down. So you can see I have it a little bit closer to clearing that fender, that wheel well entirely, not the fender. Maybe we'll go 192.5. Go right in between. There you go. It clears that wheel well, it clears that window. Another thing you can do with these layers, that's pretty much everything. Rotation, transparency, the scale, the positions, the color, and whether it's centered or not on this position, or if it's the top left corner that goes off this position. That's essentially what that difference does. Selected on top, checkbox just changes how the preview renders. So that way if, let me just show for a second, it actually will go over top of the mask and over top of any other layers. So even if you're positioning something underneath of something else, but you want to line it up and be able to see where you're going with it, you can just click that selected on top. That's just a visual reference change. That's not actually how it's going to appear on the car. Because if I uncheck this, that's how it's going to appear on the car. Actually, a better way to show that. So I'm going to shut off live preview updating, and I highly recommend you do this when you mess with this feature. So there's an up and down arrow here. Whatever layer you have selected, you can move it above or below other layers. Again, I recommend having this unchecked when you move it, because it'll refresh every time you move it, and that'll take a while. Whereas I can actually position this down. So say I want this to actually go to be cropped off by our colors of the car. So I move that all the way down underneath those. And when I refresh, you'll see it actually gets cropped by that. So if I move it back down a bit and refresh, then you see again it stays behind that. So you can choose the order the layers get placed on the car. Essentially, think of it as putting decals on and putting more decals on your car physically. You choose what order they go in. And you can do that. That's a good way if you want a logo to be over the windows. You can go up to, you don't really want to go all the way up top. Why is the base layer up there? Uh-oh. I'll make that one not visible. That shouldn't be there, but I'll have to check into that, make sure that's working the way it should. Some of these aren't selectable, by the way, like the shading and the car parts. Those aren't selectable. They're mandatory on, but they're still shown, so you have the reference of where your logos go. So the windows right here are on layer 6. I mean, I say 6. Technically, they're below the spoiler color and everything else. But if you want a logo on the spoiler, for example, that's another good example. Or if you want a logo on over top of the windows, that's what you would do here. So now, if I put this logo up, it would help if I refresh. If I move this up to 200 for some reason, now you can see that if I shut the mask off, that it is on top of the window. And as far as this stuff getting cropped, and the windows being clear for the game, that all happens when you save, and we'll get to that, but that all happens when you save, so you don't have to worry about that. But by putting them above the window, when the paint program does its final save and it crops the window areas and the wheel wells and stuff, anything above the window, it's not going to crop the window area. It's only going to crop the wheel wells and everything else. And again, I'll show you what I mean a little more when we finish the paint. So I'm going to leave that guy where it is. I know it's offset versus this one, but you know, obviously you wouldn't do that with a paint, but I'm going to do that now just because I want to show you guys this the rest of the setup here. So the other thing that you can do, so you can do your custom logos here and mess with your layers here. Just to show, like if I want to change my spoiler color, find the spoiler layer. You can make it green for some reason, and I don't have spoiler recoloring visible. That would be why I didn't see it. There we go. So that'll change the back of the spoiler, the front of the spoiler, and the bars that go up on the rear. But there are certain elements here, you know, your intake color, if you want to have that be a different color than the paint that underlies it, you can do that. We're going to go back over, actually we're going to go to the new thing. So text and numbers here. So text and numbers is for your car numbers. So I run 07 in my career mode. You can type your number or text in here. You can make this a sponsor too, but we'll do text for now, or a number for now. You could pick your font, and this will go off of whatever fonts are on your computer. So you might see some here that you don't have, or you might have some that I don't have. But either way, it'll go off of your system. It starts at Arial. Anything there might be stuff above as well. Should be other numbers. But what you can do with this, you select your font. You can select whether it's bold, italic, or regular. And you can choose whether you want an outline or a drop shadow. And I know the drop shadow looks the same, but that's because I don't have any offset set here. But I want to show these separately. The fill in red is just a preview color. There's no, it doesn't, apparently whether you cancel or not, it applies it. I have to change that. That's okay. But there's no kind of rhyme or reason behind the color. That'll get cleared out when the number is put on the car. There's not going to be a back color. It'll go wherever it goes. But let's say maybe we want to do a black number with a white outline. And you can change the thickness of your outline. And again, you can type a number, you could click the arrows. This one, you could click the arrows rapid fire, it's fine. It loads pretty fast. So it's not, it shouldn't be an issue. But we'll leave that at 8, which is the default. And then the drop shadow, I could leave it, let's leave it as black for now just to show it. So you can do an offset in an X and Y axis. Oh, it changed to white on me. Let me change that background color to something lighter here so we can see our drop shadow. So again, you can change the position of this. And I know it's going to show it shrinking. That's okay. This is just a preview window, so it's more just to give you an idea of what you got. But you can use the drop shadow as an offset shadow like that, or you can actually use it if you change the offset to 0 and the size difference larger. You can use it as a double outline as well. That's another way to use it. But we're going to do it as an offset here. And again, you can change whether it's bold or italic after the fact. After you've done all these things, you can change the fonts after the fact as well. So you can kind of, you know, really see what it looks like in all these different fonts and find one you like. You know, a little more of a live update and quicker than putting it on the car and checking in that manner. But yeah, so I'm going to leave it as a basic one. And then you choose where it goes. And you have the same options here in this drop down as you had in in the layer drop down. It's the same options. I'm gonna move this window up so we can see them all here. So you can put these in sponsor positions, and that'll be handy if we do text that isn't just a car number. But go ahead and slap that on the roof. I'll go right on the roof. It is getting cropped a little funky, but I will fix that before this is released, so don't worry. That's just a math thing I got to do. There's a couple things I got to fix before this is released, but I was too excited. Wanted to make the video before it's 100%, but I promise you guys it'll be ready to go for you. And we'll add that on the doors as well with the same style. And then you can even change what style it is. You can't change it after the fact when you select the layers, unfortunately, but because it just loads it into this menu. But if you want to do a new one, you could just either delete the existing layers by selecting it and then hitting layer and delete, or you can just make it invisible and change what you want here and just apply a new one. So maybe I don't like the drop shadow. Maybe I want the outline to be, I don't know, that dark blue that Valvoline has. And I could hit that and then shut off the old ones. And then you can see that that newer one is there. But again, you can customize this to be what you want it to be for the text and for the styling and colors. You know, I think what I have is kind of ugly, but it was just a test, just to show you guys. And again, these work as regular layers then at that point. So if you wanted to, for some reason, put them underneath of something else or make them semi-transparent or whatever, you can do all that. Those options are up to you. And there's spots like the driver, whether you want them on the rear, the driver's side or passenger side, the headlight, driver's side or passenger side, it'll go up front or back. And again, if you don't like the positioning or the scale, like if so this door number's, you know, maybe too small, you can change that scale. Let's lock that as well, which isn't going to do it because I typed it first. Yeah, so you can see that number's bigger now on that side, and you can do that on both. So if you don't, my locking's not working, probably because I checked it while entering a value. Come on. There it goes. So again, if you want to reposition them or rescale them versus what the default settings are for those locations, you can, but it's just a preset. Also, actually, I want to show you guys on the layer. This is also going to come with some contigs. I have a couple of, oops, they're in that folder. Contigs, I have 1990 and I have compact. Compact is just, it's the same logos, but they're just kind of squished together closer on the door to leave more room for a car number. So you could see these kind of overlap with my number now that I made the number bigger. But if I use the compact ones, they should fit just fine. But it's up to you. The other thing you can do with this text and decals is we could do a custom sponsor. So maybe we want, you know, maybe Mosby's doing this painting. And you will notice, I want to warn you guys, you will notice that the outline goes a little funky in the preview when it scales way down. I don't know if that happens when it goes on the car or not. It just it doesn't as extreme. But that's mostly just a side effect of how I'm doing the outlines and how thick they are, and also how much it's scaling and what the font is. Some of the fonts do it, some don't. It's also certain letters. I shouldn't have made that. Here, let's make that invisible. This white on black is not working, or black on blue is not working well. And we'll pick a different font. There you go. Maybe we want that one. Add it to the hood, and there you go, custom one. And if you want the words to be on separate lines, unfortunately there's no easy way to do that right now, so you'd have to do one word, add it, the other word, add it, and then offset them via the layer and the text positions. So you'd have to offset them after the fact. So it's a little, it's not the most intuitive for making custom logos, but the fact that you can at all is pretty neat. So, if you wanted to make your own new fancy logos, you can do just that if you'd like. So maybe you want a fictional company called Part Palace, and you want to slap them on the rear of the car. You can select sponsor rear. You can make their logo however you want. Hit add text layer, and boom, there it is on the back. So it's pretty quick and easy to make your own paint. A lot quicker than learning a paint program, buying a paint program, and messing around with all that. Also, I want to note the some of the layers when you select your car type. Some of these layers you may want to change the text. So, for example, the text on the rear here is white, and my car is white. So, I may want to change that to some black Oldsmobile text. And it's just like that. So you just select the layer again, just to show. Let's see, we got the Goodyear logo as a good example. And the Goodyear logo, there's a few of them. There's straight and curved for the 90s cars as options, and there's an outline layer as well. Now the outlines are off by default, but if you want to give it an outline color that's different, you could do that. So let me shut live preview off. So we'll do, oops, not curved. We'll do the straight outline. We'll make that one black, and then we'll make the inner part bright yellow. It's not the Goodyear yellow, but it is a yellow. I could maybe go with the actual, so then it has the outline as well. But if we don't want the outline and you just want the text, you just leave that outline unchecked. I lost my place. Then maybe now I can't read it as yellow, so maybe I want the text to be black. So a couple other things I want to show you guys is one of the neat things with this is it'll work with the logos that we already have for the different packs. So if you go to your ModMaster folder and if you have the 1990 pack, for example, you'll have less folders than I do, but you go to NTO4 data and then sponsors, you should have 1990 folder, and you'll have all the sponsors that are possible to get using the mod pack. But these logos will already work as is onto the car. Now some of them, like the Kool-Aid one with the solid background and the Haynes one being in a block, those are going to be less fancy on the car. They're gonna come in with that block. So you may want to get a different version of the logo if you want. But I'll just show with I don't know which one here. We'll do the Max Race Cards on the trunk. And bam, there's Max Race Cards on the trunk. Now that's a little offset for my taste, but we can go ahead and change that. So it's probably a little too far, but no, actually that's pretty good. So just change of a number and I'm happy with it. Now other logos might be a little more centered. I think because it had that Race Cards text and because it has an angle, it kind of got offset a little, but it's close enough. The last piece I really want to show you guys is using multiple templates. So for example, you might want the swoop from Tide and the back color and blend it in with an existing template. So I already have the template for my car. This is not going to replace it. This is going to add to it. So maybe we want this to be black in the back and red there. We can go ahead and add that to the car. You see the black's underneath some of it, the red's over some of it. It's a little imperfect where you want it. So I'm going to shut live previews off. We're going to select that one, move it down. I want this to be behind all of that. And then select this one and move that down as well. And then refresh. And now you can see the swoop comes out from behind those. So I have multiple templates going on at the same time here. And you could choose which sections you want. So maybe I don't want the back to be black. I can uncheck that and refresh. And bam, now I just have the swoops from the Tide swoop, and it's still white in the back behind them. So it's kind of up to you how you want to mix and match the different layers. You can kind of make an amalgamation of multiple cars. Also, don't mind the fact that it's not red here. That's because the Oldsmobile template, the Oldsmobile had that window blackout, which I think I made a separate layer. Ah, there it is. So I have the window trim in between, and I can shut that off. And then you can see the swoop goes all the way up. So again, this paint's a little crazy. It's a little chaotic. It's not quite one that we might totally want to do. And you can recolor stuff like the logos on the front here and the headlight fill-ins and stuff. You could recolor those as well, just the same as anything else. Don't forget you could put your driver name in as well. Now, when you're done with your paint, you can go ahead and hit Save As. And you want to navigate to, I recommend having a paint shop folder for this and a saved folder. Now you can see I have two ugly looking combination tests here. I'll just make this test 3 and hit save. And that's going to take a minute to place everything out. Now if I go to that saved folder, you'll see test 3 is here, as well as a test3.1ps file. 1ps is for the 157 paint shop, so it's a custom file for saving and loading your car. It also creates a folder where it has all of the layers, all the different layers that you have visible. But this right here is the final texture ready to go into the game. You do still have to do the steps of importing the paint manually for career mode, the way it's outlined on the website or in some of my other videos. But at the very least, what you want to do is you want to go ahead to your ModMaster folder, your player folder, and then you can make a new folder or use one of the existing ones. Don't mind, that's not where you want to put it, but one of these subfolders. So my 90th career has my career car right there. I collect them all car right here. So maybe I'd want to make a new one and call this 90 Abomination, because I just merged a bunch of stuff together. And you could copy that paint that you have output, paste it over here. Let's make that a large icon so you can see it. And rename it. So either right click and rename, or if you click on it once and then hit F2, that opens up the rename thing, and you could just type car with a capital C. And then this, in the regular ModMaster tool, you could select it there, and it'll resize it as needed for the smaller, as you can see, the medium and the small resize textures. It'll do all that by itself with the ModMaster tool. Now eventually I would like to add stuff like being able to make your pit crew and your suit for the in-car view and the pit sign and all that stuff. So I do plan on editing this tool as we go along, especially if people are interested in this. I just kind of wanted to get it out at this point with just the cars and let you guys mess around with it and have fun with it and see what you think. The other thing is if you hit new, it's going to make sure, because you're going to lose anything that's not saved. So that's just kind of a safety net check right there. But if we hit load, it's going to do the same thing. And if I hit load and I select my test 1, 2, or 3, we'll do test 2 for example. It's going to take a minute to regenerate. You can see this is a Buick. I select a different type of a car. And I have a couple different layers going on. It's similar. It's actually similar. This was kind of just a test run of what I was going to do for the video itself. Oops. And yeah, so they're just basic versions of it, different saves of it. But that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. If you have any other questions or problems with this paint program, if you run into anything, just go ahead, please join the Discord and ask there for help. Or if you have issues, and I'll look into them as soon as I can. And like I said, it's going to be $5 to get the initial file for this program. but any updates to it, any changes that are made to it, any fixes I do will be free editions. It's just $5 for the base program and access to any of the updates. But it's a one-time thing. So anytime I do an update, whether we add a new game, add new templates, as I said, the templates and the layers and stuff are going to be all free. There's going to be no extra cost on those. But pretty much you're paying for just the base program, and additions are free. So either way, you're gonna be up to date no matter what features I add. If I add, doing the pit box and the pit signs and all those things, they'll be included as part of this. There'll just be other options, and the interface may change a little bit. There'll be drop downs and stuff for different project types, and whether it's pit walls and signs, there might be options for that. And I'll probably do an update video if I do releases like that. But this is also going to be explained on the website, and I'm going to put a link in the video. It'll be on screen now, and then also down in the description, so that if you need this broken down into a text form, if you want something a little easier to reference, and especially when updates happen, the website will be the best place to look at how to use this tool and stay up to date. But that's going to do it. I hope you guys enjoy this new tool. I hope you guys are pretty psyched about being able to do custom paints. Again, all the templates so far are pretty much just 1990 paints, just kind of with your own color combinations. But that's pretty much all I've got to show today. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot to take in, but trust me, this is way easier to use than to paint cars from scratch. I've painted enough from scratch that to know that this is a lot easier than that. But it gives you a lot of the freedom and a lot of the customization that other paint programs might not give you, and definitely to create a car in the game doesn't give you. So there's a lot more you can do with this. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.